On this edition of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast, the ramifications of Calgary's Olympic bid on a major piece of baseball real estate, and Dawgs Academy alumni Jordan Procyshen opens up about his release and the Red Sox World Series victory. Welcome to episode number 4 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I didn't do a very good job of introducing myself the last time around. Joe McFarland here. Ian Wilson back in the basement for another edition. Hello, good sir.
Yeah, woohoo.
Woohoo.
Happy to be back.
Yeah, I'm glad that you made the trek all the way up to the middle of nowhere, or I don't know, there's a meridian or something that you've crossed over.
I just look for the Yankee. Normally I don't look for the Yankee and go towards it, but in this case, worked out.
So we've got a jam-packed show for you on this episode, and it's all going to start with, weirdly, the Winter Olympics. I know that's going to sound weird, but here in Alberta, and in particular here in Calgary, it has been, needless to say, a topic of discussion for the last number of weeks, I guess. And obviously with City Council saying, or with the city saying no, it did beg an interesting question in regards to a very old, now decrepit Foothills Stadium. And Ian Wilson, you did a fantastic job of stoking the fire on this one on social media.
Yeah, we had a lot of, there was a lot of social media discussion on it. A little worried that we may have left the impression that, or maybe made the relationship between the Olympics and the fate of the stadium too direct a link, which you had some good discussion online about that as well. But no, like the stadium itself, I think it was 2013 when City Council said, we will approve giving it the wrecking ball and making way for other facilities. And the discussion that you and I have had offline is that that's all well and good, but they haven't even funded the wrecking ball portion of things. Mm-hmm. There's no clear, really no clear plan for that area. I mean, I know there's the field house, there's discussions of a small arena and things like that. But what the Olympic debate did was reinvigorate that discussion specific to that area and saying, okay, we've got artist renderings of what's going there. Obviously, Foothills Stadium is not a part of that. Here's what's going to be a part of that. And that's kind of what we were trying to highlight, is that, okay, if you're voting yes to the Olympics, this is what's going to be where Foothills Stadium was. It's not saying that the Olympics caused this horrible demise of this stadium that has not been used to the fullest for quite some time and is obviously in some need of love and repair and whatnot. But it's also to shine a light on the future of baseball in this city and what facilities do we have for baseball? What facilities do we have that can host high-end baseball? And do people care? I mean,
and clearly they do, based off of some of the response on social media. And one of the things that I found interesting, and just to give a little bit of a backstory for those who weren't able to follow along, back in 2012, 2013, City Council was given a recommendation for what is to be a field house. Now, the big issue with that field house is it is unfunded at this particular juncture. It is the city's number one most needed piece of infrastructure. Edmonton has 3 of them, for example. Calgary's still looking for their first. The issue became kind of in the back burner, I guess, over the last few years with the contentious Calgary Next project. And with that project, the Flames brought forward an idea of bringing in a field house with the replacement for McMahon Stadium and the Saddle Dome. The issue kind of came to a head and disappeared thanks to the city and the Flames not getting along on that front. And I did ask around, and this has been a discussion that you and I have had for quite some time now, is what is the future of baseball in Calgary as the example, because, and especially affiliated ball, because Foothills in particular has started growing weeds in the stands, and no one has stepped foot in the press box in who knows how long, and it's not a very well kept building at the end of the day. So the question became, well, what's actually going to happen to it? We all know it's going to meet a wrecking ball one day. The Olympics would have given us an actual firm date range, I suppose, more than anything else. Now it's kind of left in the ether again. It is when the city gets some funding or when it gets its ducks in a row, and it's good. There's a part of me that goes, it's going to be a sad day when Foothills does get blown up. At the same time, it's been about 10 years since it was useful. And yeah, there are teams that still use it, but it was funny. I had a conversation with a couple of different people, and they said, the problem with Foothills now is the groups that use it now never hit home runs in that field because you got 25 feet outfield fences at 370 feet or 400 feet in dead center, and no one is hitting homers in there, especially if you're playing university ball.
Green monsters for everyone. You get a green monster. You get a green monster. Yeah, it's not really conducive to that level of ball. Mm-hmm. And I think there is an argument or a discussion to be had that it's maybe too late and probably won't engage enough people about the historical significance of that site. Mm-hmm. In Edmonton last year, we saw alarm bells raised about the site of Remax Field. And there's a long history there when it was Telus Field and I'm forgetting the legendary baseball name up
John
there.
Ducey.
John Ducey. Thank you, John Ducey Park. And so there's a little bit longer history at that site that you can tie specifically to baseball. But in Calgary, there's some sites downtown that are historically relevant when it comes to baseball. For Calgarians, that site is relevant when the Calgary Expos were there, the Calgary Cardinals, some Pioneer League teams, and then, of course, the heyday, the Pacific Coast League, Calgary Cannons. And is that enough to leave that site standing and just be like, hey, you know what? Edgar Martinez played third base over here.
Yeah.
Brett Boone was.
We're going to rename it to Edgar Martinez Field when he gets into the Hall of Fame. Yeah, no.
Probably not. Probably not for enough people. It makes me sad. Yeah. But I understand that. Like it's prime real estate. Mm-hmm. You want a functional, useful facility there, whatever is going to be there. And I think, so there's the historical aspect that, again, I think that's probably been decided.
Yep.
Then there's the forward-looking aspect that is not just a baseball conversation, because you see it with the Stampeders and the Canadian Football League and the infrastructure that they are working with there, and which is right next to, for those unfamiliar, right next to Foothills Stadium. When do we look at the future of sport in this city on a major scale? Even with the NHL, we're still having an arena debate, or there's an arena debate. Yeah. We're not hearing about it, but that conversation is still going on. We can't get our ducks in a row there, and we can't seem to plot out a future for the Stampeders. We can't seem to plot out a future for baseball, professional baseball, which again may not be as important to some people, but at some point, do you want to maybe look at, hey, let's have independent baseball. Mm-hmm. Let's have the Western Canadian Baseball League of all entities come and play here. Where are they going to do that? How are they going to do that?
Or should they? Right, like, and that becomes the focal point for the question and sort of the conversation that we get kind of led into, I think, is did Calgary in particular miss an opportunity to go somewhere with baseball? Because they did have Dawgs at one point. Mm-hmm. And the Dawgs decided, let's move on down to Okotoks, get better, whether it was for tax reasons, whether it was for property assessments and that kind of thing. But they said, you know what, we're going to move out to Okotoks, and they got the great field down there. Are you trying too hard to make a square peg fit into a round hole? And is baseball really that important in the city of Calgary's mind? When you think about what other communities in this province have been doing to upgrade their facilities and make sure that baseball is a prominent part of it. And I get it, Calgary is a different city than Medicine Hat. It is different than Lethbridge. But when you compare Calgary to Edmonton, which is, the classic example or the classic comparison, Edmonton's light years ahead of Calgary on that front.
Absolutely.
And so what do? Do you concede defeat, I guess, in a sense, if you're Calgary, and say, listen, we'll just focus in on soccer, and I know that they're moving out to Spruce Meadows there, and that. Is there any? I'm killing Ian Wilson, by the way.
Sorry.
Is there anything that Calgary can do to bring in more, or do you just say, you know what? And it was interesting seeing Baseball Canada come out recently with its list of places that are going to be hosting events in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And what were the two Alberta towns that got it? Fort McMurray and Okotoks.
That's right.
So I get the feeling that Calgary's pretty happy with allowing Okotoks to take the baseball reins. And
sure. Yeah. And I mean, first of all, give full credit to Mr. Candia with the Dawgs and the powers that be with the Dawgs for having the vision and the foresight to build something outside of Calgary.
If you build it, they will come.
That's right. That's right. And they have.
Yeah.
They have come. So you really do have to give them full marks for building something great there, because everyone, whether you live in Okotoks or Calgary, if you go to a game down there, you can appreciate it, and you should appreciate it, because it's a great facility, it's a great venue, great league. It's worthy of the accolades that it gets. What would probably be ideal from a WCBL point of view is if there is a northern entity. So maybe that's Airdrie.
I was going to say we're living, we're broadcasting live from the home of the future Airdrie baseball squad from the Western Canadian Baseball League.
That's a terrible name.
Yeah,
but,
I know. But I think that there is some relevance to that argument, and I think that there is, judging by how discombobulated the situation is in Calgary with sport in general. If I'm the powers that be in Airdrie, you have a ton of land, especially to the east side. I know there's a lot of different plans in place, and Airdrie doesn't necessarily have a big sports team to rally behind. It's a city of 60,000 people. At some point, they're going to want their own entity. And Okotoks has done a great job of that with not only the Dawgs, but they have their AJHL team there as well with the Oilers. Why wouldn't you, if you're Airdrie, try to bring something big to town and have a big vision like that? And then you leave Calgary completely in the dark on baseball. And I think in if you do that and you build some massive facility for baseball here.
Right. And I think what you do too is while Okotoks is great for Calgarians to go out to, I'm sure that there are people on the northern reaches of the city that don't necessarily want to drive that far, and that's understandable for anyone who doesn't want to make a long commute for an event. That happens. It's part of just the ability to draw people to your event. So if you can do that in Airdrie, and it doesn't have to be Airdrie, Cochrane, it can be North Calgary, doesn't matter. You're getting people from that part of the city, and you're also creating rivalries, which is what you want to do, right?
No different than the classic Medicine Hat Lethbridge rivalry or anything else. And I think this argument goes to the shows off, I guess, the power and the strong will of the other communities, Medicine Hat in particular, and what they've done with the Mavericks there, with Lethbridge revamping Spitz Stadium, and that thing looks phenomenal now. And I've heard nothing but good things about Fort McMurray's Shell Place, I think.
That's correct. Yep.
Like these towns have the foresight and they're willing to do it. So I'm hoping that we can see a little bit more of that growth, and I wouldn't be too shocked, especially, and this will be a different topic for a different day, I'm sure, but with the Western Major Baseball League changing over to the Western Canadian Baseball League, it does beg some interesting questions to me, and one might be expansion, and I'm thinking maybe out to BC, But I'm also wondering too. There's been some people wondering about red deer and Saskatoon in particular, and there's certainly some towns that are definitely interested in that side of it.
Right. And if you're in Calgary, you should consider that Lacombe was in the discussion for a WMBL team at one point.
Yep.
Brooks has a team. Brooks has a team. And this is not a knock on Brooks. Good for Brooks. They went out and they got a team, and that's great for them. They had the home run leader there last year. You're in Calgary and you have to drive to Okotoks. Again, that's not a knock on Okotoks. Great to go down there, great facility. What do we have in Calgary for baseball for the fan that isn't necessarily like, hey, my kids are doing this and they're into it. Just the casual fan that wants to, on a summer night, go to the ballpark and watch competitive baseball. And I'm sure maybe we'll get some people contact us about the leagues that are available and the Foothills Major Baseball Association, things like that. And that's great. But you know what I'm saying? There's I want to plunk down $10, go to a ballpark, have a nice cold malted beverage, some popcorn. Where am I doing that in Calgary?
And that's going to beg a question for this council and a question for Calgarians as we dive more and more into the post-Olympic thing. So definitely a conversation that is happening, and certainly one that was front and center during, for our sake anyways, during the Olympic debate. And now that goes forward, we can continue to move forward. And we're going to take a quick break. And what we're going to do now is head on over to a really interesting interview that you did with Jordan Procyshen. And it was a very frank discussion, I found, which was rather enlightening. Just from your standpoint, how did you gauge that interview before we get into it?
Well, first of all, many thanks to Jordan for making time
100%.
for me. He's his situation is he's a Boston Red Sox draft pick, catcher. He's a product of the Okotoks Dawgs Academy, and he had been with the organization for 5 years, and got as high as AA, and was released in August of this year. So that sucks. I mean, it sucks getting released. He said it was a mutual decision, which I'm sure in many ways it was. I'm sure he wants to see if he can get to another level with a different organization. And I'm sure the organization had their opinions about where he was at and where his ceiling was. So after he's released, September rolls along and playoff baseball comes along. And sure enough, the Red Sox are we knew they were going to be in the playoffs. We didn't know they would win the World Series, but they did. And he's got some teammates that he had played with that are there, and they're not just there doing that. Rafael Devers, I think we've heard of him.
Pretty big pieces to that puzzle.
Yeah, and Brazier, who's like his former roommate. So he had some rooting interest, and he wasn't bitter and jaded about the Red Sox success. He's like, yeah, I'm a Red Sox fan. It's the only organization I've known. I'm part of Red Sox Nation, and he was cheering along with it. And I think too, some of the coaches down in Okotoks, they had some side bets going as to who they were cheering for. Tyler Hollick, I think, is a former Giants draft pick, so I'm not sure who he was aligned with, but so he was very candid about just his rooting interest and where he was at with his career and hoping to continue playing.
It's a conversation. Again, it's a pretty frank discussion, but a great one indeed. This is Ian Wilson chatting with Jordan Procyshen. This is Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast.
Well, I guess we'll start with just tell me a little bit about the release, and was that something you saw coming? Was that just tell me about that process and what you did.
I kind of saw it coming.
Yeah.
It was a tough year. Battled back from some injuries at the start of the season, and then I wasn't playing much. And it was a mutual agreement between the Red Sox and myself. It just wasn't the right fit. There was no future for me left with the Red Sox, and it made more sense for myself to be able to come home to see my family, see my friends, and then hopefully try and get a new start with a different organization.
So tell me about that. What happens now for you? Are you just kind of in kind of rest and reflect mode? Are you actively kind of shopping around? How does that work?
So I had to wait for the World Series to end to be able to get picked up as a free agent. So I'm just in talks with my agent. Just he said the biggest thing is to let teams know that I'm still looking to continue my career.
Okay.
And so I'm just waiting to hear back from him. I'm gonna continue to talk to him and figure out if we can get some teams to pick up my contract and go from there.
How's that? Is that kind of nerve-wracking being in that spot? Like that's kind of the first time you've been in this position, correct?
Yeah, this is the first time I've been ever since the Red Sox drafted me back in 2014. I've been under contract with them. This is my 5th season with them. So this is all brand new. It's a lot of unknown. And in baseball, there's a lot of unknown as it is.
Yeah.
But there's even more right now.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of it's the waiting game and just trying to figure out of what's best for myself and my life.
You're pretty committed to keeping playing though, correct?
I am.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be the right situation.
Mm-hmm.
But if a situation comes along where I'm able to continue to play professional baseball, then I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting this off season to be going through an entire off season without a contract at the moment.
Yeah. So you're released by the Red Sox in I think it was in August, right?
Yeah, August 2nd is when I was released.
World Series comes around. Are you cheering for the Red Sox? Are you like what's that like sitting there? Were you watching any of the playoffs?
Yeah. I definitely watched the entire playoffs. There's some rivalry going on here in the office with the other guys.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely was still cheering for the Red Sox. I mean, a couple of the guys up there were my teammates throughout the years. I mean, I played with Devers for 4 years. I played in room this year with Brazier. So I know a lot of those guys pretty well.
Yeah.
So it's really cool for them to be able to experience that and to be able to watch them achieve the ultimate goal in baseball was really cool.
Tell me a little bit about Devers. I mean, he's one of the higher profile names. Certainly anyone in Red Sox land knows who he is. He played in an active part in the World Series and the postseason and the regular season. What kind of guy was he, and what was your experience like with him?
He's the ultimate clubhouse guy in the fact that he's going to keep everybody happy.
Yeah.
Our nickname for him was El Baby because he looks like an absolute kid.
Baby
yeah,
face,
you look at his face. He's got the baby face, and he's always going around with a smile on his face. He's always laughing. And I remember hearing about him my very first season. They're talking about this 16-year-old kid from the Dominican who absolutely rakes. He hits home runs, unbelievable defense. And the first time I saw him, I was like, wow, this kid is legit.
Yeah.
So the one thing I'll never forget was spring training in 2017. We were both in big league camp together. And in big league camp, you have to be smart in the clubhouse. Like, you don't want to step on anybody's toes. And so when I talked to Devers, and I said, hey, man, like, when are you going to make it to the big leagues? He goes, Poppy, this year I need. And sure enough, I started the year in AA with him that year, and he made it up to the big leagues and has been a contributor ever since. But that's the type of player and person that Rafi is, and he's a lot of fun to be around.
Yeah. Any other guys? I think you played for a bit with Benintendi as well. Did you get to know him at all?
I got to know Benny a little bit. I played with him at the start of the season, 2016, the same year he made it to the big leagues. But I didn't get to share the field with him as much as I would have liked because I got hurt.
Yeah.
So he's another really good guy, good clubhouse guy. He keeps to himself a little bit more.
Yeah.
But no, he's another really good player. I remember opening night, I think he went 4 for 6 with a couple of triples. And another guy that just opens up your eyes. There's something different about him. And he's a really good guy. But getting to know him well, I wish I would have been able to get to know him a little bit better.
Yeah.
But since I wasn't there and I was hurt for most of it, it kind of stopped that train.
Fair enough. He had one of those highlight that catch against Houston was ridiculous.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. That was awesome to finish off that game.
Any other players you got to know either on was there any of the big league catchers that you probably got to know a lot of them pretty well? And what about the pitching staff? Any guys who pitched in the postseason that you got to know?
Yeah, I got to know the catcher staff pretty well with Christian Vasquez, Sandy Leon, and Blake Swihart.
Yeah.
They all have their different styles of catching. But one thing that they really preach in that organization is that, everybody's battling each other for that top spot, but at the same time, we're one unit.
Yeah.
So that's what I bring here with these guys, is that they're willing to help each other out. So if Sandy sees something in my stance or with my glove, he was always willing to help me out. So they're all really good guys in that aspect, and they're competitors.
Yeah.
They want to be the best of themselves. They want you to be just as good, so you can push them. Even if I am some minor league guy, they don't care because they knew they were in my footsteps at one point. For pitching, I roomed this year with Ryan Brazier. He's a really cool story. He signed with us, I think, on March 3rd with a minor league deal and no opt-out clause, which is really tough. And sure enough, he was in AAA and he was throwing unbelievable, and then found himself on the World Series roster, making an impact in high leverage innings. He's a really, really good guy. And it's fun to see that. Is you, as a fan, people only see the baseball aspect of it. They see, oh, he's really good at this, really good at that. Whereas when you get to know them on a personal level, he's really good at baseball, but he's actually a really nice guy off the field. He's a family man, this or that. So having those ties to each of those players is really cool.
Yeah. Is it intimidating when you look at the catching depth that the Red Sox have? And it's the Red Sox, right? They're not going to leave themselves short at any position, really. Is it intimidating seeing like what's ahead of you, or is it more like you said, you kind of work as a team and you draw inspiration from those guys?
It's
or a little bit of both, maybe.
Yeah, it's intimidating if you allow it to be.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get caught up in that.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get caught up in the depth charts and oh man, I have to do this and that to get above somebody else because I'm, say, 4 or 5 spots below.
Yeah.
But it's also, that's one thing that I really liked about it is the fact that they preach, hey, we're one unit. If you want to get better, then the guy next to you has to get better for him to be able to push you. So it's one of those things where you can't look too far ahead. You have to focus on where you're at, where your feet are at the moment, and be the best at where you are.
Yeah. Tell me a bit about being in part of that Red Sox nation. I mean, it's an iconic team. It's their fans are rabid and just they're seemingly everywhere. Does that trickle down to the minor league level? Did you see that in Portland, in Salem, that there was that kind of following and passion for you guys as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The Red Sox nation is unbelievable. They're all over. I'll never forget my host family that I lived with in Portland, Maine, the biggest New England fans in the world. The first day I actually got to their place, I met with my host dad, Josh, and he introduced me to the house and everything, and then all of a sudden their eldest daughter came home and she's wearing all Red Sox gear. It's opening day and she ran home from school just to catch first pitch, and as I was coming down from my room, she was on the couch, had the game on. And that just right there is an example of what Red Sox Nation is all about. So yeah, the presence is felt in the minor leagues.
Yeah. Any on the negative side of things in terms of hecklers or people just maybe overzealous from that community, or not really?
Not really in the minor leagues. I mean, everybody sees it in the big leagues.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody saw it up there. If you don't play well, they're going to be on you for it. In the minor leagues, not as much. I mean, you get it when you're on the road and other teams' fans are heckling you, but that's part of the game, and that's why you love playing it. Same here with the Okotoks Dogs. Is when you go to Lethbridge, they're going to heckle you. But nothing compared to what they get in the big leagues. Absolutely not.
Tell me a little bit about you do these catching clinics a lot. I think it's an annual thing, if not more. But why is it important for you to come back here, and what did you take from Okotoks that helped get you this far as well? Yeah,
this is Aaron and I putting on. It's technically our third camp, but our second in a row now.
Right.
And we're hoping to put on some more this year and throughout the years coming up. It means a lot to me to come back here. These are where my roots are. I'll never forget the day that I came and tried out for the Okotoks Dogs as a 13-year-old kid. And sure enough, Vince Candia asked me if I had a catcher's mitt, and I never left the position. So it means a lot to me in the sense that I know that a lot of people gave up their time to make me the best that I could be. And that's what I want to do for these kids. And I love seeing how far they can go. We have a really good track record of catchers coming out of this academy, and I want to continue that.
Yeah.
So it just means a lot because I know The people before me came back, and Jimmy Henderson and Emerson Frost said they came back and gave their time for us. And so now, if you look at our coaching staff with Jeff Duda, with Tyler Hollick, Brenton Guthrow, Aaron Ethier, myself, Curtis Taylor, we have former J-Dogs that are coming back, and it all comes full circle. And that just shows the pride that this academy has. And so that's the cool part about it, is coming back and giving back to all these kids.
Good stuff. Last question for you. I know you got stuff to do right away here, but looking forward again. So when you get to free agency and when you kind of go through the process, how far are you willing to go? I guess, are you open to like playing overseas and playing elsewhere? Or are you just kind of not even thinking that far ahead at this point?
Right now, I'm just gonna try to take it day by day.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have my schooling to finish up. I still have some other aspects of my life that have been put on hold.
Yeah.
And I knew that going into wanting to pursue a career in baseball.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Spring training comes around the corner in late February, early March, and time will only tell.
You are listening to Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. Back with Ian Wilson. I am Joe McFarland in the basement, putting a final wrap on things, but it has been a crazy few weeks since you last were down here. A lot of stories up on albertadugoutstories.com, and what I wanted to just pick your brain about for a second, fascinating one you posted about a week ago about Shohei Ohtani and how he has a interesting Alberta connection. How did you find this, number one? And two, it was speaking of frank discussions, I didn't realize how much of a swear friend one of your interviewees happened to be. It was a pretty fun one.
Yeah. I was looking at some old clips of Ohtani on YouTube in the 2012, I believe, Junior World Championships, which took place in Seoul, Korea. And Canada, of course, played against the Japanese, and Canada had a really good tournament that year. They won the silver medal. They lost in the gold medal game to the Americans, and they beat Japan. And Shohei Ohtani was pitching in that game. He was the starting pitcher, went 3 2/3, and he also was batting. He was batting cleanup. So you got these glimpses back then of what talent he had he was 18 years old at the time, and he was throwing 95 miles per hour.
Can't be real easy. Now, the one quote, I think it was from Chris Rietsma, was that he was hitting the strike zone not all the time by any stretch. Control was certainly an issue for him.
No, if you head to YouTube, you can see the raw talent, but he's not hitting the strike zone consistently. I think he still had 3 or 4 Ks that game and 3 or 4 walks. So it was about, even things out. But obviously these kids get up there and they haven't seen someone throwing quite that hard. And Chris Rietsma had mentioned that he wasn't the best pitcher on that team. The name escapes me, the ace of the team at the time. But so Chris Rietsma was one of the Alberta connections. He was a pitching coach for Team Canada for the junior national team. And one of the pitchers from Spruce Grove, Logan Seifert, who is a former Seattle Mariners draft pick. His brother was actually drafted by the Blue Jays as well.
Right.
He's a character. He was, he had some colorful language at points of our interview, but just a great guy to kind of go down memory lane with. And one of those guys that he's out of the game now. He's an electrician. He's a hunting guide, and he's not in baseball anymore. He doesn't really watch, doesn't really pay attention. So when I had approached him, I was like, hey, it was a few months back, saying this Ohtani kid, you played against him. What do you remember of him? And it was kind of fun to go down memory lane for him, talking about that. And he picked up the win. He got the win against Shohei Ohtani.
So one claim to fame in his baseball career. I don't know. I wonder if he framed any baseballs from that tournament or anything.
He said he had, what was it? One piece of memorabilia that was hanging from a buck or a whitetail, or I'm not a hunter, so I don't know I'm pretty sure he was joking about about that. But,
or maybe not.
Or maybe
either
not.
way, it's a fantastic story.
Yeah. Yeah. So they had their brushes with fame, and I think it's. I would be pretty stoked if I said, I remember playing against Shohei Ohtani. I beat him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was okay. I
Yeah.
was better that day.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And one of the interesting things was with the rules back then, I'm sure they still use these rules in some leagues somewhere, and maybe they still use them in international play. That game went to extra innings,
Right,
which is when Logan pitched, and they start runners on first and second with nobody out.
Right.
So Chris Rietzma had yelled this to Logan, and I couldn't write in the story because we're generally
We're trying
family.
to be a PG-13 kind
Yeah.
of show.
But he had a little swear to himself about that scenario, and then he was just like, "Well, that's the situation. I just got to
Guess I'm
deal with
pitching
it."
out of a jam that I
Yeah.
didn't get myself in, but all right.
Yeah, and you can head to the website to learn a little bit more about that story. But it was a fun one to write
For sure. AlbertaDugoutStories.com, the place to go for that. AlbertaDugoutStories.com, the place to also go to find out some fantastic news that we've been able to publish over the last couple of weeks. A couple of brand new sponsorships that we want to give a shout out to. So we've increased our roster by, I don't know what the math is now. We went from 3 to 5. So first off, I want to thank the Okotoks Dawgs Academy, as well as Absolute Human Performance for being the first 3 to join us as sponsors on AlbertaDugoutStories.com. But over the last couple of weeks here, we've been proud to announce that the Western Canadian Baseball League has joined forces with us as well, and has given us a little bit of money to help us pay for some of the bills that we incur, including some of the podcast equipment that we're able to use here and that kind of thing. And another one, and this wasn't a cash one, but something that we're going to kind of tease you with for next week's episode of the podcast, is we have Easton on board. Which is a pretty cool one that I don't know how you managed to find that one, but I'm kind of impressed. Was that a random email that you got, or did you actually go out scouting Easton saying, hey, come on over here?
I'm sure that at some point, I hit up a lot of people a long time ago when we weren't as well known, or however you want to. Yeah,
when we weren't as famous.
When we weren't swinging as big of a bat. No, they actually approached us. They came to us, which is nice. A lot of our sponsors have more recently approached us, and we're not doing a hard sell to them. So I think that's a testament to what we're doing and the fact that they see value in the work that we're doing, and we hope that's the case.
Yeah, and definitely a testament to them having the faith and understanding into what we're doing as well, and it's a bit of a leap, because we just kind of, it's not like this is our full-time jobs by any stretch of the imagination. It's just something that we thought we'd have a little bit of fun with and see where it went, and here we are podcasting from my basement and writing a few stories here and there. So that is going to put an end to the show. Like I said, a little bit of a teaser for you. There's some fun stuff coming up on next week's edition of the podcast. You're going to want to keep your eyes tuned to AlbertaDugoutStories.com, because I think later on this week is when we will actually officially launch what we're going to tease. Yeah. We'll stick with that. Thank you all so much again for listening to Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. If you haven't already, you can subscribe on both iTunes and Google Play. If you don't mind, leave us a rating or a review as well. Those kinds of things end up helping us get more exposure on the national scene and makes them go into trending and all that kind of lovely stuff. So if you do happen to listen as far as this episode has gone, by all means, drop us a line there as well. You can follow us as well. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. We got it. So with that, another episode of Alberta Dugout Stories podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. He's Ian Wilson. Thanks for listening.